Hello and welcome to BonkTable. I'm Mass and this is another Conquest Battle Report. Today I'm playing 100 Kingdoms, once again, surprise surprise, versus Wadrhun. My 100 Kingdoms list is a variant of a list Hanna sent me, and she was like, shh, don't tell anyone and don't make any battle reports out of this. And I'm like, this is a really good list, Hanna, I kind of want to play it. And she was like, no, I need to win some tournaments before you can like put it out on the YouTube and show everyone. And then all the other factions start getting ideas, and I'm like, okay, fine. So I made a variant of it and I sent it to her and I'm like, hey, can I play this on the YouTube? And she's like, yeah. So this is my Goblin Ashen variant list. For my regiments, I got 2 Imperial officers. They are running the exact same warband, like point for point. There's a couple different changes, especially in the Warlord Imperial officer, but it's really not that much. So I took a Warlord Imperial officer because I want that Vanguard deploy with the Rapid Supremacy, because I just want all my guys to be up the table. And I'm running 6 units of Merc Crossbows with banners and 2 units of Imperial Ranger Corps with banners. The 2 Imperial officers got Fire First, Aim Later, and On Your Feet, so that gives you Fire in Advance and double time, so you can do the good old scoot and shoot. If you don't know what that is, it's basically the Imperial officer in the Imperial Ranger Corps gains fluid formation from the Imperial Ranger Corps. So you can, before your first action, do a fluid reform. This also allows you to shoot out of any arc. So you could fluid reform 180, move 0.1, shoot out of your butt, and then because you've shot as your second action, Fire in Advance triggers what allows you to make a move. So you just march away from your opponent because you shot out of your butt towards your opponent, and you go 5 inches. Yeah, the Imperial Ranger Corps movement 6 and the Imperial officer is 5, so he limits their speed. That's okay, because now you've made 2 moves that turn, because you made a 0.1 move and a 5-inch move. What allows you to use double time, because you've made 2 moves, what allows you to do a 3rd march. So you shoot and then displace 10 inches basically. And then your next turn, you fluid formation first action, spin right back around, move up, hopefully your opponents come closer, shoot them, and then you can just use your 2 marches to just back up 5 inches in like half movements. Like that's the scoot and shoot. You can fuck around with that. It's good, it's fun. I like doing it. But both the Imperial officer are decked out for that. And lastly, the Warlord Imperial officer has Disorienting Strikes because I had 10 points left, and I was like, if he ever gets to do a duel, maybe he'll live. You just kill the unit. It's easier to kill the unit. My army rule doesn't matter. I just picked Relentless Drills because I'm like, whatever. But it does not matter. I don't have enough big enough blocks. But yeah, it is 6 units of Mercenary Crossbows with Standard Bearers, and 2 units of Imperial Ranger Corps with Standard Bearers as well. And then I have a Priory Commander of the Crimson Tower. He's the secondary Warlord. He's got long lineage to get Oral Fanes forward, gives you that +1 on the clash, and Terrifying 1. However, Crimson Tower is already terrifying, so it doesn't stack, but I kind of want that +1 clash on the charge. That's what I really want. And I got the first Blessing Supremacy, which gives Bless to anyone who doesn't have it in his warband, and if you already have it, you get +1 attack or Harden. And you pick during the Supremacy phase. Remember that, kids, or adults, or whoever you are. This guy is running a 5-stand unit of Order of the Crimson Tower with a Standard Bearer, and a 5-stand unit of Order of Ashen with a Standard Bearer. Yeah! So what is this list designed to do? This list is literally designed to get as many shooting elements out first turn and up the table, even if it uses it on the second turn. You're just running archers and you're just vanguarding them up, and you're just making a line and you're just shooting anything that comes at you. And then when the lines kind of like clash, your opponent gets over to you, you have the big block of Ashen and the big block of Crimson Towers there to hold the line with the Ashen where you just kind of like run them up in front of something really nasty that you need to do a little bit more work on. Or you let your opponent charge and kill some Merc Crossbows, because you got 6 of them, the fuck do you care? And you just have the Crimson Tower who are sitting behind them waiting, and they just go and kill the thing that hit them. And you're like, yep, there we go, done. So that was the general strategy of the list. And we're gonna go slow over my rules, so if there's anything you're really interested in, just pause the video at any time and just have a quick read. Am I gonna have a 2-page rule set? Let's find out. I did it, 2 pages. This is what I get for taking 6 units of Merc crossbows. So dumb. Oh my god. Okay, let's go look at my opponent's list. Here's my opponent's list. He is running a list called One Thunder, because it only has 1 Thunder Chieftain and 1 unit of Thunder Riders, who's with MSU. This guy, so let's talk about this one. Thunder Chieftain. So you got Thunder Riders, what he can take as a mainstay, and he restricts into Rapid Riders, and he puts the Thunder Chieftain into the Raptor Riders, because they're great objective hunters at that point. Like, the Thunder Chieftain by himself can kill an objective, because Brutal Impact 2 will get the objective down to Defense 1, so there's your point of damage. Cleave 2, so your attacks will do, oh, what the hell is it, like a point of damage. And then you get Trample 2, so the Trample will hurt the objective. And it just hits, so your opponent just has to roll defense, and if they roll high, it's like, oh, it's dead. So the Thunder Chieftain by himself can just do the damage, what's really funny. And you can 1-round objectives as early as turn 2, and just with him. So that's why they're kind of in the Raptor Riders. It does slow down the Raptor Riders, but if you kind of put the Thunder Riders nearby on turn 3 when they have that flank coming in, the Thunder Chieftain can just run off and join them later. The problem I found with putting the Thunder Chieftain and the Raptor Riders, if you play them too far forward, they kind of get shot to death, especially because I'm playing a 6 fucking Merc crossbow list with 2 units of Imperial Ranger Corps. Like, I have 8 shooting regiments, and I'm just like, well, I'm gonna dump shots into Raptor Riders. They're evasion 2 or defense 2. Like, he's saving on 2s. If I just shoot enough times, they go down. So I'm not like super certain on that combo. I think it's nice and something interesting you can do. However, I think the Thunder Chieftain's power really comes sitting with the Thunder Riders for that extra oomph damage. Matron Queen, she is, oh, sorry. Thunder Chieftain's got War, if that matters. Violence of Action is just flurry on the unit he's in. Elder Bronchosculpts gives Harden 1 to himself and Thunder Riders, or 1 unit of Thunder Riders. So those are his upgrades. Over to the Matron Queen. She has the Apex Master. She's riding an Apex. She's got Mantle to Devote, so she gets to the Fanatic tier 3. And she's Death, so I believe all these guys are chanting Death. Unit Hunters, Unit Warbred, and 2 Apex Predators, and she's riding 1. Nothing much to say here. It's kind of a warband designed to have some oomph with the Warbred, have a light on early with the Hunters, and then bring in 2 heavies with the Apexes. And lastly, we have the Chieftain, who is the Warlord. Oh, did I make this guy the Warlord? Yeah, he has the crown. Yeah, he has the crown. Okay. This guy's got Shock Assault, gives shock to everybody. I asked my opponent about this, why they made the Foot Chieftain the Warlord and not the Cav Chieftain, and my opponent was like, the Cav Chieftain's going to be running around doing a lot of work, so they have a higher chance of dying, and I want shock to be around as long as possible, so putting it on the Foot Chieftain and then putting him in a unit of Braves who sit on a back-end zone to score it, and then I just didn't, like, whenever they activate, say no actions taken, so that they don't activate to roll Bloodlust, so they don't ever leave the objective, and they just sit there and score, and I get shocked until you run to the very back of my table edge to kill me. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair. And that's exactly what they do with this unit. And yeah, it keeps shock safe, and it scores points for them. Lastly, he's got 4 Stands of Blooded with the Stand Baron Champion. They're just running around being blooded. So, a lot of attacks. So if they do charge, they're going up to Clash 4 because of shock and inspire. And the champion, I think the champion just gives you more attacks. I can confirm that. Yeah, it gets +1 to its attack characteristic. Yeah, that's really it. I'm gonna slow roll the rules. I don't have much to say about their list. I want to say it's more experimental, kind of playing with some stuff, seeing what's going on. I think this list changes with more Thunder Riders. Like, if it's good, bring 2 of it. So I kind of want to see more Thunder Riders, but it's such a huge point sink because they're priced very similar to Ashen Dawn, and you're just going to be putting half your points into just 2 units of Thunder Riders. However, that might be the way to go for competitive Wadrhun. Da 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 da. Or if you just want to play Wadrhun and get, and like, I don't know, have a really mean list, that's another way. I don't know if I said it, but I slow rolled the rules. So that's that. You could have maybe scroll back a little, pause the video, read a rule that I didn't mention, and we'll go to the scenario. So today we're playing on Echelon. I think I've talked about this one before. Like, I don't mind it. I just really want the I'll use the colors too, like the friendly objective and the enemy objective to kind of sit on that 1 foot line so they're closer, because I find them too far back to be relevant. And maybe it's like, oh, you're supposed to get them at the late game. I'm like, eh, sometimes you don't even get to them. Like, it's just too far back. That's my issue with it. Like, the 12-inch zone projects 6 inches forward, so it's at the 18-inch line here. Just gonna put that there. And then in the objective, like the neutral one's at the 18-inch line. That's kind of like the sweet spot of, it's still far enough forward to be relevant and be attacked if someone breaks through, but it's not far enough forward where you can't defend it effectively. So that 18-inch line is very much the sweet spot. And I kind of want to see more stuff like truthfully closer to that 18-inch line. And even if you want that back objective 1 foot up, that still makes it more relevant where it currently is. And that's my gripe with this scenario. But anyway, let's talk about the points, because that's what everyone's here for. You get 3 points for killing every objective marker you've destroyed this round, and you gain an additional 3 VPs if you destroy 2 or more. So you could theoretically kill your objective marker for 3. Or sorry, kill your neutral objective marker for 3. So I'm gonna say, you know, the one closest to you, so this guy. Boom, get your 3 points. Kill your opponent's neutral objective marker for 3. So then you would gain an additional 6 points, 3 for the objective marker, 3 for the killing 2 or more, so you're at 9. And then killing your opponent's way far back one for another 3. So you would then score another 6 points. So what are you at, 15? But I don't find this comes up at all, because you can't, like, as the game is played, you're kind of marching up here. I'm going to draw this red line. And your opponent starts marching up here. And usually your opponent will kill that neutral objective, because it's like, well, it's 3 points and it's in the way. I want to open up this board space here so I can put more regiments. And so you never kind of get there, because you're also doing the same thing on your side of the table. Like killing your objective and opening up this board space. And then those back objectives that I've talked about barely get touched, so I kind of find this bonus a little, like, just dead in the water. You can't effectively use it. Like, why would you ignore this neutral objective? It's just points sitting there that you can take. So the only time I think I've seen it ignored is that my opponent's list, or even my list, was not designed to take those objectives. But as I play more, as I look at scenario, I'm like, okay, what are my objective killers? What is doing work into objectives? How I'm going to get rid of them, because I need to free up board space, score those points, keep moving. Train on the scenario is also really good. Oh, we haven't even continued this. So for zones, you get 2 VPs for seizing a zone, and you get an additional 2 VPs if you're scoring 2 or more, and you get 2 for the warlord. This is very much what you are doing is you are killing your objective. Just draw an arrow. You're getting into your zone, and you're literally just war of attrition. I will use orange. This part of the table. And you want to prevent people from getting into your zone, and try and get into your opponent's zone, and kill your opponent's warlord without losing yours. And that's kind of your points. And if you can do that, you can win. So this one really just turns into a grind right there, unintentionally, because there's not very many scoring options, even if this victory point page is filled out with a bunch of stuff, because you're just kind of not getting there, because you and your opponent are going to kill those 2 neutral objectives, and that just opens up all this table space where you're just going to have a brawl until someone breaks through to get into the zone. Circle's green. And then you contest, your opponent stops scoring, or you get that double scoring for 2, 4, 6 points. And that's how you win. Alright, let's go look at the table. Here's the table we're playing on today. So I'm just going to circle some stuff. There's my friendly objective. There's my opponent's friendly objective. We have our 2 neutral objectives right here. Doot and doot. And then we got our 2 12-inch zones, the Moose and Goose from War Machine. As for terrain, we got a size 3 obstruction over there. We have a size 2 obscuring forest. So they don't block line of sight, but they do block shots. We have I think, I didn't even give this a size. I think we just called this like obscuring and hindering over here on these rocks. And then looking around, we got a hill over here so you can get your height advantage. We have another hill over there. And then we got some water. That's it. Things that become relevant. My opponent sits, I think, a unit of hunters, like, basically in this woods, and I'm just shooting shots into them at, like, half shots, because I'm like, well, you're in the woods. For some reason, and I was corrected about this later on, and it's kind of gone back and forth in my meta, but I have finally a clear answer. I'm going to draw over here. If you're in the woods, and you shoot out of the obscuring terrain, you are not affected by the obscuring terrain. It's only when you're shooting into or passing through it. But if you're touching that piece you're trying to shoot through or pass through, you no longer count for being obscured. So, this red box in this woods, I would not suffer half shots if I shot someone like over here, even if my the line of sight from the center of stand to center of stand crossed through those woods, because my stands are in those woods. If I have a red box over here to the left by this objective, shooting just into those guys over there, like that blue box, then I would be at half shots. So that was something I learned and finally got confirmation to, well, not today, that'd be yesterday, because that's when the games were played. And I'm really happy about that, because that just increases my level of play, my understanding of the game, and finally clarifies that, because one of my issues with the the rules discussion on the Conquest Discord is you get so many people kind of coming in there. There's stuff saying like, oh, this is the way it's played, this is the way it's played, and it's like goes back and forth. Some people just talk about, I don't know what the heck is going on. And I'm like, okay, but what is it? I need an adult. I need an adult to tell me what the actual answer is. Because like, I'm fine with players discussing it and like breaking down in why, or bring up like, hey, this is a weird interaction. Like, I'm kind of hoping like maybe a Bellum goes and gets just rules moderators who are guys who are just like, your job is to pop into the rules thing and answer the rules questions. And if there is a weird thing going on, you come and talk to the developers so that they can provide what the answer is. Because every once in a while, the game devs will hop in there and explain the rules and clarify some stuff. It's really great, because that's like, from the actual developers, kind of like, I guess, the word of God, while from just random people or even like vanguards, because it seems like vanguards get it wrong, and it's like, okay, well, you're just spewing misinformation, so how can I trust that? Another really good way to do it is maybe just like, I don't want to say just like update and do FAQs and erratas all the time, because like people are going to be like, well, it was this way that like last week, and it's like, well, it just got updated on Saturday, like check every Saturday. It's like, oh, you're going to burn people out real hard. So you can't do that either. What a lot of people do is they're emailing Bellum for rules answers, and then they get an email back and an answer, but then those answers aren't shared with the wider community kind of thing. So it's really tough. And in the BonkTable Discord, we have a rules channel. Like, we have our rules discussion channel, and then we have a dev errata channel where anyone can post screenshots of any of the devs or any of the emails they've received and post it there, so we have an active log tracking when things are changed and clarified. Because we even got Mike, my co-host, to email the dev about Trample, and does Trample work on objectives, because it's not clearly stated if it does or not. And Leo, the developer, got back to Mike, actually like pretty quick, I think it was like next day, and was like, yeah, it works on objectives, and that's why there's a Thunder Chieftain in this list in a unit of Raptor Riders to kill objectives. So it's stuff like that kind of thing, like that I want to see more public, because now only Mike knew until they shared it with the rest of us. Alright, enough about that. That's my rant. Let's go on to turn 1. Here's turn 1. And I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of my 6 units of Merc crossbows, as you can see right there. I'm just going to circle them all. If you're wondering why there's not full regiments on there and I only have the front 2, is because I did a list earlier and I'm like, oh, I don't have enough guys. And so I just kept them on because I'm like, whatever. Then my last thing I have that I got on is the 2nd Imperial Officer, who's not the Warlord, with the unit of Imperial Ranger Corps, who are represented by these men-at-arms, and I think they're Hunter Cadre? Yeah, because I put the Imperial Ranger Corps in the box. I had Hunter Cadre laying around, and I'm like, fuck it. I'm not gonna bother. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 card deck versus my opponent's, I think 3. And they got the Raptor Riders with their Thunder Chieftain, as you can see right there, and their Hunters over there. So we went back and forth, character, and then I'm like, Merc crossbow, Merc crossbow, Merc crossbow, Merc crossbow. My opponent ran right up the board looking for that objective right here. And then they also ran up the board, and I think their plan was to try and either A, snipe my objective, or B, try to use this woods defensively to start hucking shots into Merc crossbows. And I kind of just made a line, as you can see, of Merc crossbows. These Merc crossbows on the left behind my neutral objective are 20.2, 20.1 inches away from those hunters, because there's no line of sight blocking but for this, like, quotes, forest or puddle with trees. And I didn't really want to get shot by hunters right away, and I also was like, well, you have a shorter range, so you gotta come forward, and if you don't, I'm just gonna shoot you. And then also, it's like, I can go shoot my neutral objective right here. And then the other stuff was, how many regiments do I think it will take to kill 3 stands of Raptor Riders with just shots? And my thought was, well, 3 Merc crossbows, and then the objective is right there, so I'll throw in a unit of Imperial Ranger Corps. Their size 2 Imperial Ranger Corps can just shoot over, as well as Imperial Ranger Corps can move their 5 inches over the Merc crossbows, shoot for their second action at volley 3, and then double time 2.5, 2.5 back behind their spot, being safe behind the Merc crossbows. So, and I do that. I do it once, and then I just tell my opponent, I'm just going to do the shoot and scoot, and I'm like going to go here, shoot you again, because the positions haven't changed, and my opponent's like, yeah, whatever. So, that's that. I'm taking, we'll use yellow. This side of the table, I'm like, you're gonna kill that. So yeah, that's turn 1. It's the same as every other turn 1. Set up your positioning, look at stuff, figure out how much things you're gonna start committing to stuff. I have a unit of Imperial Ranger Corps and a unit of Merc crossbows still in reserve, and my Ashen Dawn and Order Crimson Tower. So let's go to turn 2. Here's turn 2. I get the rest of my lights, so the Imperial Officer with the Imperial Ranger Corps and the Merc crossbows. My opponent gets their Blooded Braves with Chieftain, who is just towing that zone to score it, so good on them. You can see their little foot right there. And the Warbread. So, first things first, I believe my opponent wins the roll-off. I don't think I win too many roll-offs here, but they have less cards than me, so they're going to have that advantage. Their unit of Thunder Riders goes... I'm going to draw the objective first. Objective was about here. I think their unit of Thunder Rider goes, and they charge into it, and they do their impacts, clash, tramples, and my opponent just rolls the Thunder Rider Chieftain and gets hits and just kills the objectives all just with the Thunder Rider Chieftain. I'm like, damn. And then just sits there, and I'm like, okay, well, you are now within range. Ooh, what was it? I think it was like 18 of all my Merc crossbows, so I just take aim, shoot, shoot, shoot to the Thunder Rider Chieftain, and then my Imperial Ranger Corps do that scoot and shoot that I explained last turn, so I end up here, shoot, and then I back the fuck up and get the hell away. And with all that combined shooting, kill the Thunder Rider Chieftain. And this is where I was explaining with the obscuring rules where I made a mistake, because as you can see, I'll circle it in this yellow. This unit of Merc crossbows is sitting in that woods. I took half shots for those guys. I shouldn't have been doing that because I'm sitting in the piece of terrain I'm shooting through. And yeah, that's about it. Next thing I do, I believe on the left over here, this unit of Merc crossbows shoots into the objective. I want to say the Merc crossbows who are gray right here shoot into these hunters who move up. Like they did a double march because they're kind of like, well, I'm going to go here and get shot, but like maybe if I go like this way, I can kind of shoot into this stuff and my Thunder Riders can come on and support next turn, but I just killed the Thunder Riders with just waves of bullets. And I believe these Merc crossbows shoot into those hunters, but they do like 4 points of damage and the hunters are alive with 1 health on 1 stand. So I'm like, okay, well, next turn I'll keep shooting. Then these Merc crossbows just run up the table like 15 inches. Right across from his Warbred. And I believe his idea with the Warbred was because I hadn't deployed these Merc crossbows in the Imperial Ranger Corps yet, to start that train of just like running this way across the table, getting into that side flank, and trying to like Pac-Man their way through this entire left side. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I have Merc crossbows there who are going to counter. Imperial Ranger Corps run up their 15, as you can see. And then they do a fluid formation because I'm thinking, oh, you know what? Next turn we're going to go shoot this objective and like kill it. And I'm like, maybe I need to look at the Warbred because the Warbred look a little more dangerous right now. And 1 unit of Merc crossbow shooting that objective for the next 3 turns is fine. Everyone else can do work. And that's really turn 2. My opponent and I both scored 2 points. My opponent's killed their objective for 3, so they're currently ahead of me. But I'm not too worried because I've just set up a kill zone gun line. I have no reason to come forward, and I can slowly march my way forward because my opponent has to watch themselves because they have limited range attacks from the hunters, and their fast stuff is in the heavy department, so it's going to be coming on later. What else I want to say about this? Yeah, because their Apex Predators are heavies, their Thunder Riders are heavies, they're going to be coming on later. They can chant Conquest to go faster, but that isn't increasing their charge distance like Famine does. So really they gotta suffer probably like a turn or 2 of bullets, but at that point you're now in range of like Ashen Dawn and Crimson Towers who are going to be coming out next turn, because that's going to be turn 3. So let's go look at that. Here's turn 3. I get my Ashen Dawn on the table, and the Crimson Towers are still sitting back at town. My opponent gets their Thunder Riders, who are over here on the right, and their Matron Queen with an Apex. And what do I do? Well, I do what you're supposed to do, what is activate Merc crossbows. So, I once again, on the right side here, just lay shots into the blooded, and just drawing these little lines. Imperial Ranger Corps do that scoot and shoot thing where they hop over shooting the blooded, and the blooded are down to like, I think they have 2 or 3 wounds left on that one stand. They're broken. They use like ward or rally and then get to like a +1 defense or something, and they're just running at me because this is all they can really do. I'm not too worried. Next, they have their hunters shoot into my Merc crossbows, and they do like 3 points of damage where I'm like, woo, keep the stands alive. Then I have my Merc crossbows here. Do they go just yet? No, I don't think so. I think I have the Merc crossbows on the left go. They shoot into Warbred. Imperial Ranger Corps reform, and I think they just take aim and shoot into the Warbred. There's one of those Warbreds down to 1 health, but you know, they're over there, so I'm like, ugh. His Chieftain and Blooded just kind of sit here still scoring that zone because that's all they got to do this entire game. And lastly, my opponent runs up their Apex with the Queen because there's that whole juicy bit right here. And I was kind of saving my Ashen Dawn for last to see where the Queen goes, what am I going to do. Hunters are kind of annoying because my shots from these Merc crossbows are at loose formation. So I'm just kind of like doing 6 shots, and it's not that great. Like, I'd rather be doing more shots for some reason. But my opponent gets their Matron Queen over there, uses her heal to heal them up, I think I roll some good shots and I kill a stand and do a couple wounds on another. And yeah, that's about it. Ashen Dawn are placed in the middle because I'm not sure where the other apex is growing, but I'm kind of focusing on this over here. Do I want to use yellow? No, I'll not use yellow. I'll use purple. Like, that's what I'm kind of focusing on currently with the Ashen Dawn, because Ashen Dawn can easily go and kill these hunters and then turn to go kill the queen and the apex, and that wipes that out. I still have Crimson Towers around who can go, and I was either going to set them up. What color do I want to use? I'll use this weird pink. Yeah, there. I was either going to set them up here or here, like either on the left or the right, depending on if the Thunder Riders were going to be more of a threat, or if the archers were not going to kill the Warbread, and because I didn't really want Warbread. And then I could swing the Ashen Dawn and Crimson Towers across the table and then like finish off with Thunder Riders. But we're going to see if the crossbows Imperial Officer can kill the Warbread, or do the Crimson Towers need to go and deal with Thunder Riders. My opponent's Warbread here, I'm pretty sure, are just like doing long bomb charges because he's trying to not get shot to death. So that's why they're not moving very far, because it's like march, do a long bomb charge, and then it's like they need a 4 or a 5 and they're just like rolling 1s and 2s, so they're not really getting there, and it's just giving me more time to keep shooting. It's just kind of one of those like really shitty spots of like, well, do I go for the risky charge and like risk it all, or do I keep getting shot if I just double march to make it better, easier, like better the next turn, but now I'm taking more shots because I'm closer. I don't really have a good answer. I think maybe the Warbread should have been deployed on the right side by the Thunder Riders and had a more condensed army going into the list to try and punch a hole and then spin 90 degrees, and then have the tables kind of going like my stuff going this way and my opponent's stuff going that way, like, you know, meet in the middle and have that clash down the middle of the table. But you're kind of, you know, like taking up board space, but I have so much stuff that I think you need to like hammer punch through a spot instead of spreading out your things against something like this. So let's go look at turn 4 and see how that goes. Here's turn 4. So I believe my opponent wins the roll off, and they have their they got their other apex, and I got my Crimson Towers. But I believe they win the roll off. They get their blooded to charge my Merc crossbows and like kill off 2. I then have my Merc crossbows go shoot and break the Warbread. They do like 6 hits and just kill off 2 stands. It breaks the unit. My opponent rallies, goes for a long bomb charge, rolls I think like a 1 or a 2, doesn't make it, stops, and then at some point I activate the Imperial Ranger Corps, who were this way, shoot into the Warbread, kill them. I think I just take aim and shoot, and then I just freeform that way because there's nothing over there anymore. What else we got here? Then I have these Merc crossbows twist, shoot into the blooded, taking out a stand. I have what is it? Oh, my opponent has their apex come in, just charged, got to here, killed my Merc crossbows who were here. That actually helped me a lot because it freed up space for my Ashen Dawn who were here. All right, and Merc crossbows. They just swung and hit in the side. I'm pretty sure I shot the, the apex with those Merc crossbows before the charge got in, so there's some damage already on it. The Imperial Ranger Corps had to back up, as you can see, so I could get in there and wiggle in properly, because I had an Imperial Ranger stand that was like sticking out and they would have touched before I made contact with the apex, so I was like, well, Imperial Ranger Corps, you need to back up, so I just fluid formation and double back up, still in the zone scoring it, and then the Ashen Dawn, you know, do that charge. My opponent had like 5 health left after all the shooting. I was just rolling really well. My opponent wasn't rolling defensive rolls that well, and then the impacts came in and just did a ton of damage and killed it on the resolve, and I was like, oh sweet. So then I just reformed into a cube because I wasn't going to be able to twist like 5 wide, so I just was like, all right, we're going to basically rotate 90 degrees and assemble into a 3-wide 2 in the back, because that's how I'm gonna have to do it, because I want to keep moving forward, because I don't really want to be charged by this apex way over here next turn into my side. Like, that's not fun for me. The Merc crossbows that got attacked in melee failed to roll anything into the blooded. I was like, okay, whatever, we'll deal with you with the Imperial Ranger Corps next turn, even if you die. And I believe these Merc crossbows go at some point, shoot these hunters, take out that stand what's missing, and then my opponent drew the queen to heal that stand up, and I'm like, well, check your range, and they're outside of 8, so I was like, aha! They didn't get the healing for it. So when you're taking wounds and you still want to provide buffs from like healing auras or spells or stuff, just make sure you're pulling from the side that doesn't matter or matters less. That's kind of all I got to say about that. Then we got this last Merc crossbow unit who just killed this objective, you know, just shooting at it over the course of 3 turns and finally got her done. And what else do we got in here? Chieftain still scoring the zone. I am still scoring my zone, even though it's a fucking mess right now, because I have 1 unit of Ashen Dawn and the Imperial Officer to compare to my opponent's 1 stand of contesting, so 2 to his 1. Score the zone, get my points. And Thunder Riders just march up 12 again. I just brim the Crimson Towers hiding behind these Merc crossbows, because the Thunder Riders are going to have to go through the Merc crossbows. They can easily kill Merc crossbows, what allows me to have Crimson Towers come in and kill Thunder Riders. So yeah, that's turn 4. We both scored 2 points. I think we're tied at this point though, because I've killed my objective finally. We've been staying consistent on scoring. However, my left side here is free to do whatever they want. And whatever they want is they are going to start heading this way, get into the zone, kill off my opponent's stuff, kill these hunters, threatening that apex, and just going to the right. While my right side is being supported and buffed up with the Ashen Dawn and Crimson Towers, because they're kind of starting to take a beating. However, I've been killing my opponent's stuff effectively, and it's kind of getting into that cleanup part of the game. So let's see what happens turn 5. Here's turn 5, and let's see here. My Merc crossbows here shoot into these hunters. Imperial Ranger Corps just run up the table. Merc crossbows just run up the table. Everyone's just run up the table on the left side here. I'm just doing this side first because it's really easy, because it's just me running around. I'm within like 16 of the Chieftain with all my stands. I don't want to do that. So that's like 16 right there. So I'm going to shoot them after next turn. For my opponent, they have their apex get the chance to like try and do a long bomb charge into the Ashen Dawn. I think they do the Conquest one so that they march, charge, but they failed to charge. They needed like not a 2 and like rolled a 1 even with the reroll and just ended there. And as you can see, my Ashen Dawn were like, well, we're gonna charge an apex, and they went from here. That's a terrible box. I'm doing so well. And charge into the apex. And I impact attacks, clash attacks, just wipe out the apex. It didn't really stand a chance. And at that point, my opponent calls it. They did have this charge earlier on from the Thunder Riders into the Merc crossbows, and they buffed them with War. And I was like, yeah, okay, well, I'm going to charge you with Crimson Towers. They're blooded, killed the 1 unit of Merc crossbows. My Imperial Ranger Corps failed to kill blooded because they have obscuring from the forest there. So we're currently contested on the zone, so I don't score 2 points. We did roll out what would happen if my Crimson Towers hit the Thunder Riders. I killed them. My Merc crossbows they killed before got 3 shots in and did like 3 points of damage into the Thunder Riders, but even at 6 health a guy, that massive block of Crimson Towers still just kills them. And we call it there for the game, because if we kind of kept going, if I like, we were kind of cleaning up, and then I just like rolled the dice to see if I would kill those Thunder Riders, and the answer was yes. So my opponent would have, I'll use black, lost these Thunder Riders. They're still getting 2 points, but like the writing's on the wall. They got 2 stands with 1 like a couple health left, I'm gonna shoot and kill them all. Even if these blooded go and kill the Imperial Ranger Corps, Crimson Towers would just move from this position, reform and charge into them, killing them off. Ashen Dawn are going to be running into the zone. Shots are coming in for the Chief. Like, I'm just going to table my opponent at this point. So we call it there because my opponent doesn't have any steam left. And yeah, that's the game. So let's go check out the score. Here's the score. My opponent got 11 points because they got that one additional turn of scoring because they contested me. And I got 9. And we ended on turn 5. So what can I say about this game? I think my opponent had the good idea to run their stuff up to try and contest me, was looking at scenario right off the bat. I think they needed to bring all their forces together on one side and hit one thing all together to just overwhelm activations and try and maybe bait me out to put more stuff on a side that they have nothing on. And waste my time swinging that stuff around to them, what gives them a turn or two to get more things into me. I think that would have been a different game. So let's say they put the Warbread onto the right side of the table, then it's just another thing I have to deal with, less stuff. They finally got stuff into my Merc crossbows and they were killing it. Hiding in the woods with the hunters is really good. I think the Thunder Riders coming out the side was also a good idea, but they just need more stuff there to kind of kill all the chaff to then get into the Crimson Towers and bog them down. Ashen Dawn were going to be a huge pain, but if they killed all the chaff, they could put multiple regiments into it because I have to swing all my other Merc crossbows around to get over there. So I'm trickling in Merc crossbows and other ranged guys to shoot things. So I'm not having that overwhelming force, what allows them to kill something, maybe get shot again, but not enough to really deter them, and then charge the next unit of Merc crossbows and cascading. I think that was, like, they needed a different strategy or plan into what I was playing. I just set up a gun line and said, come into my killing field. I will, if you're not going to come to me, I would have slowly advanced forward and shot at my opponent. And you know, in this one they did come to me, so I just stayed where I was and shot at them. One thing I do have to say is that Vanguard Merc crossbows who run up the table like 15-16 inches, who then basically sit on that line, kind of sucks for the other things that I have in the list but want to also sit on that line. Like Ashen Dawn and Crimson Towers run up the table 15, so I'd be on Merc crossbow stands if they don't move. So maybe there's a bit of, I have to find better places to put stuff, but it's like, no, I want to be effective about where my regiments are and my shooting. However, even losing those couple inches and just having the Ashen Dawn sit behind Merc crossbows is still really good, because even if you charge and kill Merc crossbows, like Ashen Dawn want to fight and kill that stuff anyway. So I wasn't really concerned about that, like not getting the full distance forward when I come onto the table to start threat projecting, because I'm already being a dick with all the shooting to like force you to come closer, because there's so much damage coming in from that, and it's chip damage and it does build up over time, and the closer you get, the more shots you're going to be taking. So it's a really mean list. I will say I did play an all gun list. What was, I think it was 163 shots, 4 units of militia bowmen, 2 units of Imperial Ranger Corps, 2 units of longbows, and 8 units of Merc crossbows. It's absurd. I don't think that the volley stat, the barrage stat, even the points of ranged units needs to be adjusted or changed, or even any of the special rules on them, because they work well if you bring like 2 to a max of 4. But when you start getting into that realm of 6 or 8, like you saw 6 here and it was just like bam 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 bam, just deleting shit. And even if you get into 8, it is pretty fucking oppressive. Like, it's like, what the fuck? And I really want to say the change would be in the scenario document to limit regiments, like how many of the same regiment you can take, because like you can only take 2 of the same character. I would say limit that to 4 to 6, truthfully, because I don't think a lot of players understand or know how to deal with a list that is just a straight line of gun. Yeah, and like this list kind of shows that, where my opponent's running into gun because if they know they don't move forward, they're going to get shot, or I'm going to be taking up a ton of table space and kind of put them in a corner, so when they march onto the table, they're immediately getting shot. So it's a really shitty thing to play into. Another thing, if you're playing into something like this, you might want to just sit at the back edge of your table and think about playing the game to turn 10 instead of turn 6 to 8. Because a lot of people find like, oh, the game ends at like turn 6 or 8, but we have 10 turns. It's like, yeah, use the 10 turns. Keep your stuff, like, march your stuff on 5 inches, or not even 5 inches, just to the back of the table edge, and just wait for everything to show up, and then move out as one full force. I know for myself, I'm a very aggressive player who wants to just be, like, have a domination style play, where I just beat my opponent into a corner and dominate them. There's times where you gotta back up and reassess, and I think against a full shooting list is one of those times where you gotta back up and reassess, where it's like, okay, I'm going to have this, I'm gonna hold this regiment to reserve for next turn, or if you can't, I'm just going to march just onto the table, behind some terrain, and wait for the rest of my list to show up, and then go in as one mass, because with a shooting list, you want to give them too many threats at once to shoot at. Because the shooting list really works at focusing firing stuff to death, and if you can prevent that, it helps a ton. So if you had, let's say, Thunder Riders, and they're butted up beside 2 Apexes, like, ooh, what, like, 1 to 2 of those things are getting into me, and you're just gonna go to Stompy Town. So I gotta be real careful. And then you have, like, the rest of the chaff running around who are trying to, like, run and tie up stuff. So that's more what I want to say about it, is you gotta come into a list like that with a plan. And as people play more, they're gonna develop those plans. I want to say thanks for watching this battle report. If you want to see any other content, well, you're on YouTube watching this, so you know that we got lore episodes where I just read lore bits. We also have a podcast, BonkTable Podcast. You can find that anywhere you get your podcasts. I think the most recent one was about supremacies, so that's really fun. We got, what else we got? We got Discord. Come to the Discord, hang out. Tell me why I'm wrong. You want to chat? Like, we can chat. There's a bunch of other guys on there. They're great people. And yeah, I think that's about it. So have a great day. Bye.